Hey everybody, how are we? What are we all up to today? How goes it? Hope everybody's had a good day, been able to stay cool for the most part. We are now going to be fully focused. I can't word anymore. Fully focused on Leyn, our beloved bun breaker, and getting her through to the Tower of Zoth. I don't know why that's been taking so long popping up. And then hopefully we can get that done today. If not, we can do that another time. I don't know. I'm sorely tempted to start MSQ. We are getting to the point where points aren't being buried. Actually, I wanted to check that really quick. Let me go to Dynamis really quick and see how things are. Oh, she's back on her homeworld. Let me go back there. That's right, I finished up on Ether. The cat girl, I did move her, I was doing some other stuff, so we will be starting that. Cancel, yes. I am done. I can't brain anymore, I'm sorry. I don't know why my brain is shutting off, but it is. Actually, I do. It's been a long day. Can't brain has the done. No more self-defeatist. Long days. Just moving forward. Let's see what we have when I get over to the main area. I'm going to check this over the next couple of days to see what we're like. It's cute! Sandfox is weird. If I do get to the Tower of Zot today, please let me know if you want to join in, because I would like to queue for it as a group, but I can also do it as trust. If we can't get a reasonable group built together. I do not mind. It is not buried. Yay! I can actually probably start this next week then. I'm actually happy over this. We may be going to Tyrol early, guys. Hello. Oh boy. I'm gonna go to Hallie because that way if people do want to join in, we can all join in. We shall see. So back to old Charlian. Okay. Prowl is intent on uncovering the reason behind the forum's inexplicable behavior. An unsettling change has come over Charlian, but together we will divine the underlying cause for the forum's callousness. As I mentioned before, however, questioning the counselors directly is a fruitless endeavor. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what and how little they are willing to divulge. Which is why I began scouring Charlian's archives of historical records for any hint of a connection to the final days. Suffice it to say that progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skim in a day, but now that I have this band of willing reinforcements, the search should proceed all the swifter. Let us reconvene outside of Manon, shall we? Exit the annex to the right and you will find the archives on the west end of the woods. My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope? In any case, you stand now before the doors of Numenon, Charlian's grandest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archives of Numenon. Extend deep beneath the surface like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the great Gubal Library pale in comparison to Numenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizens of Charlian is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched Ishtola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alize and Alphino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you're only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Charlian's history or foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us here at the stone benches over there once they've found some promising tomes. Happy reading! And over there. Brightly colored book. Long, long ago, on an island in the northern seas, There lived Rogan man by the name of Nyon-Krump. I can't say his name. The man was a student of astrology, and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to the horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that the man's crew hauled them aboard his ark. But the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel into pieces. With only moments to spare, the man wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship to the safety atop the Avalothia spine. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them, but it was not long before disputes over the dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, this man gathered to him his crew, his grateful passengers, and abandoned the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast, where they built a new ship, and intent upon returning to the northern sea. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon the very spot that settlement proposed, and prospered and grew, and in time it became the city of Charleyan we live in to this day. Roads of the colony. Many years ago, on the banks of the Thaliac and the Dravanian hinterlands, a Charleyan colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th astral era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumors spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Charleyans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what had become a flourishing town as an official Charleyan colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Charleyan, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Charleyan inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Imperium. Following the exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Idleshire. Steward's Wisdom. During the chaos of the Sixth Emerald Calamity, Archon Nyon-Krump, founder of Charleyan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in the northern Empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Charleyans took to heart the words of their savior, and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born of strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture became bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of enterprise could be bartered for wealth in coin, and the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Charleyan would live by their founders' teachings for the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star. They would eschew the tools of war and with knowledge deliver the world. Eschew, however you want to read it. Forever 20 summers. My beloved seekers of knowledge, have you ever put learning before your health and neglected to feed the rest your body as you should? I too once engaged in foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in philosophical study, I had an epiphany. For all the world's mysteries that drive us to reckless abandon, we have so very few years of life in which to achieve our goals. Thus do I share with you this mantra: I am forever 20 summers young. The number itself is unimportant. You could be 19 or 23 or 40. Whatever age you are when you discover this manual, let that be the age you aspire to remain. Through mindful and healthy living, will you extend the time available to spend upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp the greater truths you pursue. In the pages that follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physical condition from a biological, etherological, and arcane viewpoints. This book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details on the forum or mention the history of Charlene. Nah, really? Introduction to the Heavens. Have you ever gazed at the skies above and contemplated the mysteries that contained therein? I speak not of shifting cloud patterns, but of the vastness beyond, of the sun and the twinkling tapestry of the night. Some think the dome above us to be a finite space, yet amongst the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar's depiction of a boundless sea of stars has firmly taken root. Alas, this heavenly sea remains unreachable, unknowable destination. There are few indeed who can explain in satisfactory detail why our own star is believed to revolve around the sun. It was the technologicalists of Alag who came closest to understanding the laws which govern the starry abyss. It was they who launched Dalamud and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. Having read their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your interest in this field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you that the eternal constellations were arranged differently in the distant past, that their positions continue to shift almost imperceptibly, but measurably as we journey into the future? Would it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? Wrong subject. In the years which followed the founding of Charlene, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to even longer debates, resulting in significant delays of vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 of the 6th Astral Era, it is ultimately decreed that Charlene would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of a nationwide vote. Thus, was the Forum as we know it today conceived and created. As much. Sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure I borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Alphino and Cryle should also be along shortly. I was delayed in similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks mentioned the final days specifically, so we have no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes, if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare and share our discoveries as we make them. It would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate, plenty of comfortable places to read, and a ready supply of hot tea. Oh, I was always quite fond of reading outside. But it's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alphino and I were to return to Sharian, we were not to be allowed across the threshold. A harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position and that of the Forum will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. Well, we'll mend this rift one day, I'm certain of it. And what of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Ah, well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Sharian, yes, but I was born rather further away. In the southern reaches of Ilsabad, in fact, for generations my people have dwelt in Corvos, the coastal region opposite the island of Favner. The Alagons founded a city in that fertile land and by ship brought in the subjugated tribes of the Makote to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign, and when the Fifth calamity froze the seas solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eosia. My ancestors, however, chose to remain, that they might prevent the remnants of Allagan technology from being misused. Isn't Corvos under Garlean rule? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces, but Garlemald renamed the region Locos Amanos. I can say it. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the noble House Donis. House Donis demonstrated a singular interest in Allagan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allagan eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliable as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales, and the decision was made to bury our ties to the knowledge and traditions of Allag. As the last child born with the Allagan eye, I was given over to the custody of friends in the students of Valdesian, who had me registered as a Charlian citizen. I never even considered, forgive me, it was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by Archon Louisois, was he not? Stories of adopted waifs and rescued orphans are more common among Charlians than you think. Yet regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient I can't speak today. Precipity, we outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. This is exactly why I have such love of this country, and why I wish to visit it I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizens can be proud. Hear, hear! Another good reason to get to the bottom of the Forum's stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into these books, Leyn. More company should be arriving any moment now. We've returned with our selections. Although I must say, the pickings were quite slim indeed, Mistress Cryle has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters, and more than a few which barely made mention of them. As such, we will be looking into research papers on the Umbral calamities, as well as articles written by prominent Forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events of Amarat firsthand, and I fear I may be overlooking critical details. Sure. My thanks. Now, where to begin? First things first, what kind of phenomena did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? A complete destabilization of creation magics. Primals of unrivaled power were summoned from the ether. A complete destabilization of creation magics. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all manner of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, and indescribable abominations prowling the streets. That more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation had survived until the present day, we might have had some semblance of and something substantial to analyze. To the best of our knowledge, however, these techniques were not preserved or passed on. Ishtola surmises that the closest known magic is that of the summoning ritual promulgated by the Asians. As there was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? They say it began with a keening sound from the land itself. Ah yes, the Amaratians spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were into the midst of the madness. But it seems that each and every one of the catastrophes was preceded by this ominous noise. Eventually it resounded all across the star. Not even Amarant was spared. So the ground was crying out, you say? To be considered the harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I'll have to speak with one of the Numenon's mammoths and ask after any books which make mention of such a sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? They summoned Zodiark. Yes, with Elidibus serving as his heart, so many gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him to being. We don't know exactly how Zodiark brought salvation to the star, only that by his godlike will were the laws of nature set aright. Then, once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls they intended to render unto Zodiark, a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Vana and her fellows not manifested their opposition in the form of Hydaelyn. Thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now in my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telophoroi truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. We've seen what they're doing with those towers of theirs is forcing people to summon primals, a kind of catalyst. Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech, a convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash? But this is all just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let us return our attention to the form, shall we? We should keep an eye out for Y'shtola, but 'tis time we began studying these research papers. I'm the last, am I? Well, my extended search of the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urianger learned of the source's reflections from the Garoon oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, that tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away in the Great Gubal Library. 'Tis even less likely that knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, would be left sitting on a shelf for any curious scholar to find. It stands to reason, then, that my colleagues, be they Archons or Consulars, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. Yet when you confronted Master Fortuner with knowledge of the Telophoroi and their machinations, he scoffed at the suggestion that they posed a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know if the final days were truly upon us, which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the Forum's behavior, it is being kept secret from the rest of the nations. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty. Whether they contain mention of the final days or no, these books could yet hold something of value. You weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. Here's a book. Read. You labor for what feels like an age as a Stola's research assistant. Mm. Your efforts to gain Grahatia's attention go unnoticed. He appears to be lost in his reading. Sounds about right. Thank you for your help, but I think I can manage the rest without your assistance. If I were you, I'd steal a few quiet moments for myself. I found lots of interest so far. I think Ishola might be right about not getting our hopes up. Oh dear, you look exhausted. But what about your studies? Were you able to find any books on the subjects I mentioned? Aki! Hey! Then the day was well spent. Should you wish to read them again, a mama at the reference desk will point you in the right direction. For the moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. We might be occupied with our research for quite some time. Ready for a tea break, Leyn? I know I am. Honestly, my neck and shoulders are going to calcify if I don't stretch my legs and walk around for a bit. You know the last stand down in the harbor, don't you? Come and meet me near the outside tables. I'll treat you to their coffee. It's quite good. You know, I am going to use the etherite. What are you up to, Aki? You all ready for raiding coming here soon? That's fair. I'm not looking forward to that grind, getting all my classes to 100. As busy as ever, I see. How very Charlian that no other gourmet cafe has sprung up to compete for customers. Actually, this crowd gives me an idea. Before we place an order, why don't we ask a few questions and gauge the mood of the city? I'm interested to hear what the average citizen has to say about the Tlafari. We might even learn something new. Worth a try, don't you think? Being followed by Alistair. What? What? What is it? Can a man not enjoy a moment of private respite? If you're looking to share a table, then I respectfully request that you look elsewhere. That's true. You misunderstand, sir. We were simply wondering if you knew of the Telafari. These enemies of peace have promised an end to all we hold dear and... Wait! You're that House Levier girl, aren't you? And this woman with you is obviously a foreigner. I heard you were disowned for helping outsiders indulge in their barbaric whims, and here you are giving truth to the rumor. I'll thank you to leave me be. I have naught to say to the likes of you. Well, I must apologize. 'Twas foolish of me to expect an ounce of civility from one so enlightened. Come in, Leyn. Yes, I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Pray excuse the interruption, but we were hoping you might share your thoughts on the Telophoroi and their unconscionable plans. My goodness, if it isn't the young Miss Levier. My apologies, but I work in the offices of the Forum, and if word reached Master Fortunal that I was helping you... I see. We're sorry to have bothered you. Poor Alize. Welcome, madam. What can I offer you today? Wait. Is that Mistress Alizé I see there? My word, how long has it been? Far too long. Meet Dickon, the owner of the last stand. I used to frequent his cafe on occasion, in between lessons at the studium. That seems like an age ago now. I remember hearing that you and Master Alphino had set sail for Eosia, but then you never came back. Lately there's been gossip about your father disowning the pair of you. Everything all right at home? It's complicated, and I hadn't expected complete strangers to be so familiar with our situation quite so quickly. Everyone has an opinion, it seems. Well, it is House Leveilleur. No matter how discreet Master Fortuno may have been, news of your family's doings never stays secret for long. Things being what they are, what brings you back to the city, of all times? We have questions, and only Charlene has the answers. Tell me, Master Dickon, have you heard anything about the apocalypse called the Final Days? What, like the end of the world? Nothing like that, I'm afraid. And that's what you're here to find? Information on this apocalypse? Yes, whatever we can learn. Unfortunately, your patrons appear to be unwilling to speak with me. I wish there was more I could do to help. But maybe there is. You're a visitor to Charlene, aren't you? Then few will know your face. We should be able to pass you off as a server, with none the wiser. We just finished preparing a few orders. Strike up some friendly conversation while you're setting down the food, and you might just get the answers you're looking for. Not a bad idea. I hate to ask, but what do you think? Sure. That's the spirit. Pay attention now. I'll explain where each of these dishes needs to go. The tea set is for the chatty group sitting by the water's edge. The omelet is for one of our regulars, a Highlander by the name of Gisela. She's sitting at an outside table with her friends. Behind them you should see a Makote gentleman. He ordered the oven-baked lobster. Got all that? If you're not sure, just ask and I'll explain again. Good luck! I love how you have to do it in order, too. Oh, my tea set. Lovely, thank you. The Talafo. Who? I'm sorry, I've never heard of them. Or their final days. My friends and I are somewhat uninformed when it comes to current events. Now, if you wanted to hear about ritual arcane practices of the 6th Astral Era, common or esoteric, then I'd be happy to talk your ear off. Excuse me, sorry. Finally! 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's dig in. No time to waste. What? The Talafaroy? Yes, I remember seeing the name in the latest Gazette. That and some grand claim about the end of days. Some old, senseless warmongering. When will those fools grow tired of spilling each other's blood? Best stay out of it, I say. The Forum made the right choice, and I fully support our decision to remain neutral. At last, the oven-baked lobster is mine. You have no idea how long I've scrimped and saved and suffered to afford this heavenly dish. The final days? This is the first I've heard of it. Although that would explain why my friend has been rushed off his feet. It must be a busy time to be a gleaner. You don't know what a gleaner is? They're collectors of sorts, travel the world procuring things that we haven't got here in Charlene. Priceless books, unusual live specimens, and so forth. So named for their for the folks who trail after the reapers in the fields, picking up every grain which was missed. Aye, by all accounts, gleaning is a most meticulous and demanding profession. If these Telafori make good on their audacious threats, then many uncatalogued rarities could be lost forever. Why else would the gleaners be buzzing about in such a frenzy? Watch the harbor and you'll see what I mean. They're carting loads in from the docks all day. It's never been this hectic before. Not like this. Itchy. Any trouble with the customers? Were you able to get anyone to talk? Interesting. They seem unaware of the final days, aside from whatever vague news the gazettes are printing. Even Dickon had nothing to offer, and he's the best source of gossip in the city. If the Forum does have secret knowledge, then they've done an impressive job of ensuring no one whispers it in the wrong ear. In any case, thank you for playing the part so well. Here, that cup of coffee I promised. Now let's enjoy our drinks somewhere else, shall we? Maybe behind the peristyle, away from the gossips and their wagging tongues. Yes, this should do nicely, out of the wind and out of sight.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Charlian? Graham said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been, how being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently.
No pair of ears.
They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos. A vast complex beneath the island. Charlian is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world.
Yeah, this is from when
preserved exclusively in dusty tomes
yeah, it is.
and desiccated
From the beginning.
samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait, didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And Gleaner's answer to the forum. If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the forum is planning.
Hey Shadow, hey Ninja, hey how are you guys? With Leyn, yes.
But when this contest is said and
Oh
done,
god.
it'll be your daughter who sits the throne. Me, Wokla Lat.
Okay, finally. Turn around and pull my headphones off so I don't get spoiled. Granted, that might have been the beginning, but no. Almost skipped the cutscene. Oops. Yes, everybody go give Shadow a follow. If you haven't already. We support all our streamer friends here. Yeah, I'm trying to get Leyn re-caught up. There have been a couple times I almost felt like doing what I did with one of my alts that I don't do on stream. And just do the scene skip so that I can get through this all. But at the same point, I'm like, no, I'll behave. They like the story. Nope. I've already gotten all the way up to EndWalker. You mean all the way through EndWalker? Just before Dawn Trail. I might do that on one of my other alts. Alexei is excited to share her revelations. We should tell the others what we've learned about the Gleaners. Go on ahead to Numenon. I'll join you in a moment. Master Tikkun will want his cups back. I might not be on for long. I am not feeling great today. I'm tired from being busy all morning. So we might not get to much further today. I'm not going to. I've been coughing on and off for like the last couple of days. And that's not necessarily a good sign. Especially since I've heard a really bad bout of pneumonia is going around. Yeah, my uncle caught it really bad. He got pneumonia really bad, and I have a friend who's been in the hospital for like 2 months. But I currently have like a tickle in my throat that won't go away. Yeah, she will be. She's on the up and up. She's finally out of the ICU. I never noticed that she said that. My loyal assistant returns. There is a lexicon on the first floor that I need you to... Ah, you found something, haven't you? Welcome back, Leyn. Been for a walk and cleared your head, have you? Not exactly. We did some impromptu investigating and turned up information on the Gleaners. Well, here's the thing. It makes sense. The Gleaners take their requests directly from institutions and bureaucrats. But as you say, they ultimately answer to the Forum. A sudden and significant increase in Gleaner traffic and in cargo. It certainly gives the impression of an overarching plan being put into motion. Let us see what theory we can build from the facts. As Ishtola observed earlier, Numenon's archives appear to contain no information concerning the final days. Coupled with what Leyn and Alizé learned at the Last Stand, we can be reasonably sure that most Sharlayans know nothing of that particular period of ancient history. Yet my father and his colleagues are not only familiar with the final days, but are also somehow certain that the destruction being perpetrated by the Ptolopheroi is wholly unlike these apocalyptic events. Moreover, the Forum claims to be so occupied by a duty of such pressing importance that they saw fit to unanimously deny Eorzea's request for aid. And now the Gleaners, official agents of the state, have been mobilized on an unprecedented scale. I do not think it a stretch to conclude that the Gleaners' recent activities are in service to the Forum's secretive ends. In which case, our next course of action seems obvious. We visit Labyrinthos, assess the situation for ourselves, and if we're lucky, the Gleaners will be far more receptive to our questions. A fine idea. Let's go. I'm glad you approve. You won't be disappointed, I promise. As for myself, there are a few more subjects I should like to research. I may join you later, but feel free to leave behind your borrowed books and be on your way. I'll see to it that each is returned to its proper place. That would be great help. Thank you, Raha. Let's head down the stairs over there. I'll show you the entrance. Graha. Watch your step in Labyrinthos. It's rather more perilous than a simple storehouse, although that will likely make the experience all the more attractive to an adventurer like you. Raha, you're so adorable sometimes. Ready? Labyrinthos is not too far from here, but you may find the path a bit disorientating. I'll take the lead, so stay close. Off we go then. It's pleasant here amongst the trees, but we really should move along. Now we run. Try to keep up. Keep to the path. Straight ahead. Crossing the bridge. Feel like I'm not even really running. Up here. The rostra, not far now. Here we are, through this door and down the stairs. You did remember to attune to the shard back there, didn't you? It'll make your life much easier if you need to come back in a hurry. Otherwise, we should keep moving. Yes, I already did. Love how there's a checkerboard keep down here. You didn't take a wrong turn into the rostra there, did you? I doubt the forum would take kindly to you barging into a private session. I've not been to Labyrinthos in the longest time. Even as a student, my visits were few and far between. How did the forum learn of the final days, and exactly how much do they know? More to the point, what do they intend to do about it? Hopefully the answer to at least one of those questions lies below. We're all here now, yes? I've taken the liberty of securing permission for our group's descent. Right, everyone onto the lift and down we go.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Labyrinthos.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aaronville!
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
Ugh.
You okay, Crowd?
Did you call to me just now? No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
Alright, sorry about that, guys. You here to help or give me more headaches? Because you don't have the look of a gleaner, I'm in no mood for idle chatter. One of my colleagues was so exhausted he took a tumble and crashed into a pile of crates. Now, I have a pack of marmots running loose. Your exchange with Aaronville has taught you about exhausted gleaners. Let me think. The Rhea seeds should be item 1058, cumin seeds 1059, snurbbleberry 1060. Where are they? Were they 1061? My head feels like it's stuffed with moko grass. Why more loads to take out than carry in? Why do all this at once and risk mixing it up? What if someone mistakes the Corthus carrots for the Gear Banyan carrots? What then? Your exchange with Teve has taught you about large shipments coming in and out. You want to know what I'm doing? Hauling books and ore and fauna. If it needs hauling, I haul it. Every decade or so they take stock in Labyrinthos, you know? Sort of tidy up the inventory. Never seen an operation like this before, though. They just did one a few summers ago, even. Then with no warning at all, this mess gets dropped in our laps. Orders from on high. Damned if I know the reason. Could be that they're changing the layout. Perhaps preparing for the next big expansion. Your exchange with Dobbin has taught you about taking stock in Labyrinthos. Any luck, Leyn? What tales did the Gleaners have to tell? They're exhausted getting large shipments and all sorts of chaos. So this grand operation began without warning, and for every item they bring in, they're sending more inventory somewhere else. That would explain the haggard faces I've been seeing. You were right, the form is definitely up to something, and they're turning Labyrinthos upside down in the process. I know I just barely started a little bit ago, guys. I'm really sorry, but I am really not feeling up to it. I'm tired. And I think the tired's playing in. I haven't slept well the last couple of nights. I don't know if it's the heat or a little bit of exhaustion after finally returning back to work. I don't know. But I am definitely not feeling really up to this. I might, if I'm feeling up to it, do a extra stream tomorrow. We'll see, so that I can push forward. But I'm gonna call it here. I'm sorry. Okay, you know what? We'll go raid Gun Girl. She's currently doing some MSQ stuff and fishing. So please go give her a follow and give her some support. I'm going to be hopping out after this. I'm going to run so I don't get spoilies. But thank you all for stopping by. Take care. Love you all, and we'll see how things are going tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.